I was sure that the police thought me spitting out that bowl of blood was meant as a defiant gesture. So I pulled back at that point. Suddenly, I was thinking through the situation. Telling myself, now, Rodney, whatever you do, don't make any sudden moves, or you sure as hell to catch a bullet. I could smell the hatred. Me saying I felt fine set something off in those police. And even though it gave me the briefest satisfaction, I knew I could not do anything that even remotely could be viewed as aggressive, or they would shoot me dead. On March 3rd, 1991, the video of Rodney King's encounter with the police became so famous, you could say it was beaten into American history. The image of him writhing in pain as several Los Angeles police officers brutally beat, kicked, and tasered him is world famous and synonymous with the abuse of power. When the 4 officers were charged with the use of excessive force, many who had seen the video assumed that they would be convicted. But 1 year later, a mostly white jury acquitted the 4 officers, and a mere few hours later, the city combusted into the worst riots in modern American history. In the riot within, Mr. King shares his American-changing journey, leaving us all with his most famous words of, "Can we all just get along?" This is The Riot Within by Rodney King. Now, the first time I drank alcohol at age 11, it felt like someone had threw a switch at the back of my head. Usually everybody had to get a little used to the taste of beer, but not me. Shoot, I liked it right from the start. I was like, this stuff's amazing, it's so delicious, and I was immediately hooked. I had the disease in me, just like my dad. But I never realized or even remotely feared that anything negative could come of drinking alcohol. I loved to drink from the start. The next thing I did was beyond stupid, and I still don't know what possessed me to go into that store and walk straight up to the register. When I got to the cash register, I grabbed some gum and asked the guy at the counter if I could use food stamps to buy more stuff. The way I remember it, he didn't want to accept my food stamps in. Man, we got into it. He said I told him to open up the cash register and that I took cash and checks out of it when he opened it, at which point he grabbed me by my arm. This is when the fight supposedly started. I was taller than him, and I think he felt immediately threatened. He came at me with a crowbar. He said the crowbar he used allegedly came from my coat pocket. The only damn thing within reach was a stack of miniature pies, which I grabbed and I threw at him one by one. Shoot, I was just trying to slow him down before he could whack my black ass. So I did a 180 spin, and I hightailed it up out of that store. The cops arrested me, and I decided not to put up a fight. I ended up being accused of robbery and assault. I pleaded guilty to robbery. Now, granted, I done hit him with the pie story when the cops came around. I just plain said I was guilty, but I never really was. The only reason why I pleaded guilty to that robbery charge is because I didn't have enough money to hire a good lawyer. I was given a 2-year sentence. So what went down in that convenience store in 1989, and the conviction that followed, turned out to only be the beginning of my run-ins with the law. I was still on parole for the convenience store incident when I got behind the wheel of my car on March 3rd, 1991, with my good friends Pooh and Freddie. We talked about going to a park. All of a sudden, a California Highway Patrol Melanie Singer started chasing me because she clocked me going 115 on freeways and 80 on city streets. But Slinger wasn't the only one after me. The LAPD were hot on my tail too. The LAPD reported 27 cops total. This section's pretty ugly, but it's the God's honest truth. Timothy Singer and Melanie Singer's partner approached my car. Pooh, Freddie, and I each got out of the car. Tests showed my blood alcohol level was 2 times the state's legal limit when they stopped me. The female officer moved in to arrest me. I kneeled down on the ground as she commanded, and everything was cool. She had just taken my ID and was just about to slap the handcuffs on me. But that was not the other's intent. And it was made clear when one of the officers kicked me in the side of my face, smashing my jaw. Before I could register that unbearable pain, one officer slapped me in my lower leg with his baton. I heard a crack and I immediately pleaded with Melanie, please, they don't have to do this. Tell them they don't have to do this. Suddenly, I'm being hit with multiple baton blows to every part of my body. My knees, my ankles, my wrists, my head. The repeated smashing of my body gave me the strongest urge to piss my pants. I stopped thinking and I tried to get up and run. That's when I realized my ankle was broken. That busted joint probably saved my life because I could not run in any direction without looking like I was running at a cop. I threw my hands up to show him I was surrendering. Now this was about the time that George Holliday began videotaping the beating. He got me at the beginning trying to escape and got most of the beating and kicking by the... An officer sent 50,000 volts through my body with a taser shot. Dear God, I can take anything they can dish out. No matter what they do to me, you gotta keep me alive. I gotta stay alive. I spent 3 days in the Los Angeles County Jail before they released me. No charges was filed against me, even though those cops said they were chasing me because I was speeding. The pain was beyond intense. On April 23rd, 1992, my case went to the jury for them to decide the fate of the officers. They came back 6 days later and pronounced the verdict of not guilty to all 4 cops. The only thing they couldn't agree on was the charge on one of the cops for the use of excessive force. There was a hung jury on that one. The jurors were mostly white, and so were those damn cops. One juror explained that even though the video of me getting beat up was shown over and over in court, the fact that I get up on that damn stand and speak out against them cops made the jury think my video was weak evidence. The video was shaky and blurry. Those cops were simply doing what they were instructed to do. The day that LA riots erupted in the streets of South Central, it felt like the entire city had finally caught up with what had been simmering inside me for months. This just in, reports of fires are coming in at a rate of 1 per minute. By dawn, more than 150 fires raged the city. Shops and businesses are closed even if they aren't near the center of the riot. LA school district officials are closing all schools and childcare centers. College kids finishing their year, all exams are canceled. Everyone is ordered to get home while they still can. God knows I wanted to help. I really did. My mind never had the proper schooling to do what I was about to do. But that was okay. Because these words, they were coming from my heart. So I began in front of that courthouse. People, I just want to say, can we all just get along? Can we all get along? We got to. Just got to. Let's try and work it out. Let's try and work it out. The riots ended up changing everything. Even now, ask anybody, and they'll remember where they were when they heard about the acquittal of those 4 officers and how this city erupted.